So this is a headstone that I purchased off of Amazon, but I've seen a lot of reviews that it's made out of limestone. The picture doesn't last. It breaks easily, doesn't last in a storm or weather. So I decided to resin it sealed tight with one of my dogs that passed away. Actually, I had two dogs that I had for 12 years, one for 12 years and one for 15 years that recently passed away. So I wanted to get this headstone and seal it so it wouldn't break or lose its photos. So this is the ideal I came up with. I bought some gas fire pit glass, and I also purchased this resin container, square container, and it fits perfectly for the limestone headstone that I bought off of Amazon. So what I did is I put in the glass, blue glass first, and then I kind of just sit the limestone in place to make sure it's all even out. But something I forgot to do first, you just want to go ahead and pour in the resin first, then you set the limestone on top of that. But in the video you see me setting the limestone first. So again, this is the glass for the gas fire pit that I used. Actually, this was a mistake. I bought this stuff as extra and needed something to do with it, but this is the resin I was using. You can use any resin. I'm sure any of them will work. You want to make sure you have a heat gun so you can get some of the bubbles out. And again, I'm just fitting this in place. You want to wear some gloves. Dealing with resin, it is not fun to play with this stuff without gloves. So this is some bottles here that I put my dog hair in. Then the other bottle I kind of put my hair in so it always remember me. And then I'm just gonna seal that all together, but I'm not gonna do it in one shot. I'm first gonna resin the bottom portion of it, then let that sit for a half a day. Then I'm gonna do resin for the top portion. So you wanna, when you deal with resin, you wanna make sure it's 50-50 of the hardener, then 50-50 or 50 of the resin. And then you wanna stir for a good 5 or 10 minutes. You do not want to, you don't want to stir this with those I don't like to use those electrical stirrers because it creates too many bubbles. So I like to do it by hand. So I kind of go clockwise for a little bit, counterclockwise. Then I go back and forth from clockwise to counterclockwise to make sure I'm hitting every corner. And yeah, even stirring it by hand will create bubbles, but not as many bubbles as you're using an electric egg beater or something. And another thing is you don't want this to sit after you mix it. You want to immediately pour it. Sometimes when it depends on how hot the room is, it activates the resin quicker. It was a time where I mixed resin and I came back 10 minutes later and it was already hardened. So you want to go ahead and apply this immediately. And then even when you apply the resin and you use your heat gun to get some of the bubbles out, that also activate the resin to cure quicker. So again, I'm just testing out to make sure that the headstone's in the right spot. And this is the mistake I made. I was pouring it in to settle it in, but I should have removed the headstone first, then pour it, which I did, but I didn't show it in the video. So just quickly pull the headstone up and let the resin kind of sink underneath the headstone, then squish it back down, make sure it's in place and is even all the way around. And you want this to cure for at least minimum 10 hours. And you will see bubbles. I don't know if you can see the bubbles here. But I'm now going to take the heat gun and kind of go over it for like 1 minute to get some of the bubbles out. And for leftover resin, I kind of use it for like these little side projects. If I had any left over, other than that, it's just gonna go to waste. All right, so this is me using the heat gun. I set it on high, some people set it on low, and you don't want to stay in one spot too long. And then you don't want to cook it for a long time either. You just want to kind of just glance over, do a few passes, and that's it. Because if you're cooking this thing with the heat gun, it's gonna cure it too quick and it's not gonna come out good. But this heat is helping to remove those air bubbles on top. So again, a few quick passes. And yeah, I do put a little resin thin coat onto the limestone itself to just get it to soak in before I hit it with the next or the second coat for the next day. And you know, some people probably want to put some LED lights in there. That's fine. I wasn't thinking of it at the time. I could have done solar, put a solar panel off to the back, and then had an internal LED light to light up this. Maybe, you know, I have one more dog left, so maybe I do that for her. Or I could always mount the LED lights on the outside of this resin to light it up. See, this is LA. He was the one I just lost November 23rd, and this is how it came out. Again, I sealed my hair. His paw prints and his hair have his headstone with his name, his date of birth and death, and all our pictures together. And this came out to be about 1.5 inches thick. I could have made it 2-inch thick, but 1.5 inches is fine. Again, I'm just trying to seal in the photo and seal in the limestone because a lot of complaints on Amazon against the company that makes this, that the limestone cracks, it breaks, and the picture fades because it's in the weather. So this was the ideal I came up with of sealing this in. And probably when the winter's over, I'll put it outside where I have him buried, right below my plum tree. And this was just some photos of how I did LA. And this resin I used was a different brand than the one I used for his son, Bear. But it's still, I'm happy with the results. You know, this is like my 4th time using resin, but this is my first time using it in such a large quantity.